What do you guys think? Is this stuff kind of, you bored or you interested? Okay, so this was awesome right here. I loved this moment, right? It had everything involved. So he decided to change his tie, and he thought that was gonna be funny to put this bow tie on, right? So they're on the bus doing this, and their friends lit it with the iPhone, and I attacked this moment because I think it's just really shows who he is and the light. And so I'm crawling up in this bus, trying to get up in this space, and I get that at the very end. I get the thumbs up, I think it's kind of cool. And then I don't know what that was. He's trying to hug somebody. He's not looking at me though. See how he came up behind that guy? He's like, it was just lots of stuff going on. Love this moment, using that light across his face. See how that light hits and falls off, right? Now this was a flash. I had my off-camera flash, and I was trying to just get something better to kind of control. It was just really hard to shoot in. Have you noticed that it's dark, it's moving? I'm trying bounce flash, I'm trying available light, I'm trying off-camera flash. So I take that stuff with me when I go on these things because I want to make sure that I have everything at my disposal light-wise because I'm going to be stuck on this bus, So I put the light down here, kind of goes from there. Anyway, and then I put the light. I had a guest actually hold the light behind them, and I finally got this really fantastic lit picture of them kind of having a nice moment, But it wasn't until the end of the bus ride. And then we get to the venue, and they made me do a whole bunch of this stuff, which is fine. But we didn't. But we hadn't done wedding party yet, so we just got that done real quick before they got announced, right? So then my assistant's in there shooting all the details, right? Getting all that stuff done. These are my details. I at least try and find details that have some composition to them, not just be a crime scene photographer and just click, 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 right? Make some art out of it. Anyway, you see what I'm saying, right? And then the processional starts. I worked really hard on this picture when they were getting ready to be announced in the back room. This actually says 2014, and I was like, oh my God, it's perfect. It only says 20 because they blocked the 14. But okay, you see that, right? But do you see the picture? Do you see, it's like what is that, the Rorschach test or whatever? What do you see? But do you guys see the kiss? Mm-hmm. Right? And so I worked really hard on that because if you use the flash on that, it's never gonna feel like that. It's just gonna feel ruined, Mm-hmm. And so I saw the 2014 and I saw that little bit of light behind them and I'm like, please, 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 please. But I couldn't line everything up. If I moved to the left to get all the 2014, then they go into the dark area, So I had to just deal with it, and it kind of looks like it kind of looks like the year 2000 with the two heads. But see right there? See that right there? That's what it's all about right there. That's cool. And I bumped up my aperture for some reason, probably because it happened really quick, and I just tried to do that same thing, just trying to get it where it needs to be. And then we go into this is a horrible entrance area because all of this stuff is in the background. You see all that crap in the background? I hate these. But I could not figure out a good way to get around it. I finally started to learn it after the first two people. I shot too close here, didn't I? You see how the light hits the background? And then eventually I moved back, and now see how much better the light falls off on them? You guys seeing that? So it's I'm trying to constantly learn this kind of stuff because I'm not doing this. Right? I'm just oh my God, here it comes. Here we go. We got to do this. And eventually, hopefully by the time the bride and groom come in, I'm going to figure it out. Right? Makes sense? Okay, good. Great moments. See that? The high five. And this is my assistant back here with a light on a stick. You see that? So I have an on-camera flash on them and a light on a stick, and they're firing at the same time.
And running out with a quick question about your assistants. Joel Wu wanted to know, during the formal portraits, is your assistant helping the people get ready or working with lighting?
Lighting.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe both.
And is that the majority of the time your assistant is that sort of off-camera flash lighting person?
Yeah, exactly. So my assistant that I use is pretty much their job is to be a second shooter during the prep and ceremony only, right? And then the rest of the time, they just assist me with lighting because that's where I need them the most. Because of the fact that I'm not a great bounce flasher and don't love to do that, I haven't adopted that process yet 100%. So I need somebody to help me light stuff. And it's just the way it works for me, So yeah. Getting in close and getting the kids. See, I finally got the light figured out, didn't I? First two pictures sucked. and now I'm getting it figured out. But then they come in and they do this right at the exit sign and the restroom sign, and nothing I can do about it, so I just shot it. But then I keep shooting, right? Just keep working through all these moments, and I'm moving fast. You notice that? Like I'm here, I'm there, I'm all over the place. And I love this one, and I'm so mad about this photo. So mad. Look at him in the background. That's a fantastic moment. And it happened so fast, and I just missed it. But had I been lower, and those hands were, it would have been a phenomenal picture. And those hands would have been up above him, right? And we're going to talk about this tomorrow on how to build a photograph, on how to move yourself. But man, it's still a great moment. It's just not what it could be, right? So, and then there I am. I'm at ISO 400, f5 at 16th of a second. No, 50th of a second. Sorry, that was my lens. 50th of a second. Okay, right? You guys understand why I'm at that exposure? Huh? Why am I at 400? 400 ISO.
Oh.
F5 at 50th of a second. Oftentimes in receptions, I'm at like a 10th of a second, an 8th of a second.
So you can see more in the background. You're
Letting
opening
the ambient burn in. It's called dragging your shutter. Okay? And it only works when you're using flash. So why does it work with flash?
because flash freezes.
Yep, exactly. The flash freezes what's them on film, and then you drag your shutter, meaning you have it open a little bit after, and now that ambient light will burn in, but they'll still be frozen. Right? Yeah. See that? Makes sense, right? Okay. So this is hilarious, actually. So I loved this moment. Not this moment, but so this lady made the cake, right? They made this. Her and her husband made this like clock cake out of plywood and all this kind of stuff, right? And it was the last. She's a cake lady. It's literally the last cake she's ever gonna make. Okay. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a picture of you with it. Right? Let's just do it real quick, like 2 seconds, right before the cake cutting started, because I want to tell that story for them. It's like they made the last cake. So this way, I just covered my butt. Right here, boom, done, great. Just in case something didn't happen. So they get in there, and they start cutting the cake, and these guys are hilarious. And then all of a sudden, the old lady comes over, and she's like, "You're doing it wrong," right? And she comes over, and I start freaking out. And I'm like, I can't believe this is coming together. Like, that's like the perfect way to tell this story, right? And I'm like trying to get my assistant to move her light really fast so I can get it. And so the lady comes over, and she's like, right here, you gotta cut right here. And I think that's a hilarious moment. It happened really quickly. I had to move myself. But like, what a better way to show this story than her actually during their cake cutting comes over and tells them how to do it. But look at her. She's like, it's just total old lady. I loved it. I think it's awesome. So there, my assistant's holding a light by her, to give me that side light, right? And then she hugs her. And so basically, what I'm doing is I'm actually shooting this with 2 cameras with 2 different lighting situations, right? And that's a little crazy, to be quite honest with you. I've now simplified that process. So this is the 5D Mark III triggering an off-camera light. And this is the 1D Mark II with the light stick and the on-camera flash. You see that? Do you see the difference in how that looks? And I shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't make any sense why I'm doing that, but it's just my way of covering my butt and then trying to swing for the fence at the same time, right? So when you're taking risks, you have to make sure you're good enough to just take the risk. And if you're not good enough to take the risk, then you better cover your butt first, then take the risk. You see that? Because you can't have them come over and be like, so I missed your cake cutting. So can we go do it again? It doesn't work, right? So you got to make sure you're covering your butt both ways. And it's just really kind of funny. So then they do the toasting. See that? Great moments for this kind of stuff. Just really trying to capture. But I want the cake in the photo to give context of what's going on. Hilarious stuff. And then so look at, there's like no room back here, is there? Behind them. But I want to tell this whole story, so oftentimes I'm trying to get in a position to tell the whole story in one photo. That's the idea of a journalist, right? If you work for a newspaper, oftentimes you go out and shoot a story. You can't come back and be like, hey, I got 400 pictures to tell this story in, right? Only wedding photographers get that luxury. newspaper photographers normally have to tell the picture in one, or the story in one photo, right? Well, I can kind of tell the story here, but I want to try a little bit harder, so I moved to the back, and now you see all the people, and the light, and that cute little moment is really fun. So see how I'm covering my butt? I'm trying all different things, right? Because I'm shooting this by myself. I don't have anybody on the wings helping me, you know? So, cool, right? Love this one. That's how I feel about people doing this during weddings. Why just drink your champagne, you know? It's like, why do we gotta do all this? And it's so funny to watch people because they can't figure it out. They're like, it's kind of funny. Anyway, great moment. See, but I'm looking for that peak moment, aren't I? Like I'm looking for those lips or whatever. Some speeches, kids dancing. Speeches are the same thing, you know? And I have, the cool thing about this is that I go into a lot more detail. I have for those of you like DWAS that don't want to spend the $20 on the big PDFs, we have little quick tip guides that are like $8 or something like that. And I have I'm gonna be doing more. I just didn't get them done. But it's like I have the first dance, how I shoot the first dance, how I shoot the exit, how I shoot toasts, how I shoot the cake. And it kind of goes through some examples and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Because it goes into kind of how I light things and the way I approach it. But, you get the point. The whole point is trying to do this so everything is like in the same photo. How many of you guys, when you shoot speeches, you shoot the person speaking, then you shoot the people listening, right? Or do you try and get them all into one frame? All into one frame?
Try to get as many people together as possible.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's hard.
It is hard.
Because they're far away.
They're far away, and 9 times out of 10, they're like really far away. It's like the person speaking is up here, and they're like back in the corner, you know. And I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't like erase all the people and like compress them together, But you're always trying to think in that way. And so I lit all of these with my assistant with the light. So great. I love that they stood above them, like this. I'm like, that's amazing, It's kind of cool, right? And can capture some moments. And then I change, right? I change and try and get different things happening. I love this photo. Totally love this photo. So anyway, kind of, you get the point. That's a great way to line up. So you see this light right here, right? That light on his face and the way that light rolls over his face. Had I positioned myself where he was over here, that light wouldn't be as defined. You get that? Right? See, that rim light shows up like when you have a darkness behind other people. You see what I'm saying? So you got to always watch that light and where that light's falling. And then you got to wait for the moment. And then you got to focus. And then you got to, it's like all that stuff all has to happen at once. And it's like I've always said that like what impresses me about photographers is when I see moment-driven photographers that like do all of that at once in a split second and nail it, Portrait photographers are amazing to me in how they do stuff, and this might be just me, making myself feel better because I can't do great, amazing portraits, is they're like, I'm always like, well, they have tons of time to deal with all that kind of stuff. And in theory, they don't. In reality, they don't, but that's just how I make myself feel better. But I just love when all that stuff kind of comes together, and it's like everything aligns, and it's just bam, it's all there, right? It's just fantastic. And so anyway, you get in the point, right? People watching, I'm just kind of shooting around, mom and dad. First dance, this was a fun one. He was kind of crazy on his first dance. I always shoot it both ways. Get in there, get up high, I get far away, show the scene, I get right in there, and just like make it happen. And then I move around and I look for, there's so much to do on a first dance. Who struggles with first dances here? Anybody? Yeah. I did. I did on the one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And why do you struggle?
They were moving left, right, forward, backwards. I don't want to get in the way of the people watching.
Yeah,
There's a pole in the way and the bar was here, and it was like a tight spot. The light.
So, let's talk about that. I don't want to get in the way of the people, right? We talked at lunch about this.
About what I'm supposed to say right now?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, 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 no.
So
I want to go back to that because you mentioned to me
Oh.
about like I don't want like at the ceremony you don't want to get in the way of the people, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
go
yeah.
back to that, but anyway.
yeah, okay. So when it's dark, like the shot that you have on the screen, and I have control over my off-camera flash, I feel pretty good about the shots that I get with that. I can put myself in the right position, and I know where the light is going to fall off, and I wait for them to turn into position.
Yeah.
I get something useful. My last wedding, which I think we'll go over tomorrow, it was like 8 p.m. outside, still plenty of light, but sort of not good light, and like a weird white tent.
Dusk.
Yeah. And so my flash wasn't really doing much, and maybe that was my fault, and I didn't understand it properly, perhaps. And then a big tent in the background on one side, and a house on the other side, and I had like 2 little windows to get good backgrounds, and it just wasn't happening. I got pictures that I'm sure they'll be fine with, but
But
It wasn't-
exactly.
yeah.
But they weren't good enough for you.
No.
Right? Yeah, totally. You know? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll talk about that. You know? I think that'll come up in the critique. But I want to go back to that. Like at lunch, we talked about this, right? Where and you didn't want to get in the way of the people watching, right? Huge common issue. Every single one of us in this room has had that feeling, and you cannot tell me you haven't. Okay, right? I don't care if you shot one wedding, you're gonna have that feeling, right? And what did you say? Like, your bride, you're gonna work on that for next weekend, right? Or this weekend maybe, Saturday? Saturday, right? Your bride's like, do it, get in there, right?
yeah, she's game for whatever's going to happen. She said, I have total freedom.
And you feel like that
This is the right time to try it.
You feel that people are always watching you and being like, you told me this at lunch, you're like, oh, there's a photographer up there, you know?
Yeah, I don't want them to be watching the ceremony and be like, oh, why is there a photographer? I should be watching the couple, not the photographer, not
right?
noticing me.
Yeah, and it's gonna happen no matter what, right? You have a job to do, and you're there for a reason, you know? They are just there to watch. They can step to the left, they can look like this, they can get around you, but the bottom line is, get over yourself. That's huge, right? You got to get over yourself and just do it, right? And just get in there. And it took me a while to get over myself. You know, when I was in college, like Wild Art, they're like, we need you to go find somebody studying quietly by themselves in a field, and you need to go ask them if you can take their picture. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I can't do that. I'm going to ruin their studying moment, you know? And it's like, I had to, and I got over it. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. They're going to be studying for hours until they graduate, you know, and whatever, right? They can see the pictures later. It's basically what my theory is. But the other thing too is that I'm not just sitting there. Oftentimes, I'm not like totally unconscious like about it, like not paying attention to what it is. I know that's happening. But if it requires me to stand in front of somebody to get the photo, I'm going to get the photo, right? Because I can't get that back. But I can always turn around and be like, that was an amazing picture. I'm so sorry I blocked you. And they're like, oh, no, it's totally fine. Every single time I say that, they're like, totally cool. You got to get your job done. Every single time I say that, right? And so you just got to go for it. And it's you pay attention to what you're doing, but you don't just sit there the whole time and just like, I've had a videographer I shot with one time. First dance was here. Sippy cup, his first dance. Videographer was on the dance floor. Literally, his tripod almost touched their feet. And he sat there the whole time watching the camera like this. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude, right? So I shot, that's how their first dance looks. It's the first dance and the videographer doing this. It's actually pretty funny, you know? Hey, it is what it is, you know, right? You know, so anyway, yeah, good. Yeah, anyway, so you guys finding this helpful? I mean, is it, you know, it's kind of, you would tell me no, I mean, we can talk about something else. But I thought it'd be interesting to kind of just walk through. And so you had a question at lunch about, I mean, this is a great time to ask some of these questions, because that's why I want, and you said you have like 40 of them. So.
Pared it down a little bit.
Yeah, you pared it down a little bit? Okay, well, hold on real quick. So you asked at lunch, like, how do you deal with the pressure of having to get pictures of people, right? That is the worst thing that I have to deal with in my own head. Like, I hate it, right? Because I just want to focus on the moments that matter and good pictures, but like the problem is, if people aren't doing anything, I'm not inclined to go shoot them, right? Like, you know, like Hunter and Gloria, didn't they talk about that a little bit? Hunter and Gloria talked about, like, you know, you might not get a photo. Maybe that was in a different part of the video that I didn't include for you guys. But they said, you know, there's just, you know, you can't get everybody because, like, there were pictures that Tyler didn't get of people because they just sat at their table back in the corner the whole time. Like, I can't justify in my head just to go take a photo of them sitting there like this. Like, what are they going to do with that photo? Like, what's the point, So it really drives me nuts. So what happens is, as soon as the slow song comes on and the dance floor gets up and gets packed, I'm like, all right, here we go. And I systematically work through that whole dance floor and I just pick people off, right? So at least there's stuff like this. See that? I'm just picking people off. Hey, oh, there's Grandpa. And then I got some people, right? So and sometimes they sit there and just go like this, Anna actually told me one time, which was told not me, but just people, that was really awesome in this same discussion. Is she was like, she actually goes through the buffet line and takes pictures of people waiting to get their food, and she's like, hey, boom, and just makes a little picture of them. That's smart. It's really, really smart. I can't bring myself to do that. I'm just like, oh, that's like exhausting to me, But it's really smart, business-wise, right? All right, question for you.
Oh, I was going to ask is, are you using 2 lights on all these situations? Like always one on the camera and your
Not
assistant?
always. In this situation, yes. You see my assistant right here holding the light stick?
Uh-huh.
Right? So that light's coming from up here, and my on-camera flash is going right at him.
Okay.
Right? And so what that's doing is it's basically like shoot, like point and shoot mode for me, right? Because I can't miss. Like the focus assist beam is hitting every time. Those flashes are designed to work straight on, right? Not
The
bouncing.
focus assists.
No, the flashes
Oh, okay.
are designed to work like this, because most people are going to use them that way, I think, right? And so it really works. And so it's like, I'm just like, I can just put the camera wherever I want, and it's going to be like bam, 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 right? And then I have my other camera on me that has like the other light to kind of give some dimension, right? So
Okay.
I use the light stick in different ways with that other camera than I do with my other camera. Does that make sense?
So how's the other one set up?
It's got a trigger for that light, and
it
it's just
does.
my 5D with a 35 or an 85, and then I just switch those lenses in my pouch, and that's the problem, is I'm defeating what I say I should be doing. I'm actually overcomplicating my reception system, right? Because I'm trying to do 2 different systems at once, right? But I just can't accept. Yet. I've tried the bounce flash technique, because the bounce flash technique is great, because now it doesn't matter where they are, you can shoot wherever, your system doesn't matter, all that kind of stuff, but I just have I'm not really good at it yet, and I don't know, I haven't really accepted it, and I won't be able to be good at it until I accept it. Does that make sense? So that's why I do it that way. And it works, Yeah.
On reception events, you showed a picture yesterday where you followed a girl out to the car and got the dad in the car. That was an amazing photo. When I'm at reception, I feel really pressured by all the things that are going to be happening, and I'm in touch with the DJ. I'm like, don't let this happen without me being there, and then there ends up being 10-minute breaks between, and I'm not doing anything during those breaks. Like, how are you handling that?
Yeah, the same kind of thing, right? I'm kind of like, I'm hoping that those people are gonna like look around and be like, there's no photographer here, But I've been in the bathroom before, and like my assistant will text me and they're like, cake, with like exclamation marks, and I'm like trying to hurry up and get out, it happens, right? But usually those kind of moments that like that one with the car and stuff like that, that's after all the shenanigans are done, right? Because usually those are all loaded on the front end. Like the cake, the speeches, the dances, those are all before. Once that dance floor starts, then it's my time to just cruise control mode. I can just, no more things to worry about. I can just shoot dancing. I can go outside, all that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, you just gotta, again, risk and reward. Guess what? No event's gonna happen without the groom, right? So if I'm with the groom, I'm good. Type of thing, right? Yeah. So anyway, did you just raise your hand, or you didn't raise your hand? Okay, that's what I thought. I was making sure. All right. Making sure. Okay, so anyway, so I just kind of go through and I just kind of shoot dancing, and I just get in there and just have a really good time doing it. Looking for the band, hilarious stuff, just really looking for moments that I think are awesome. This is one of my favorite images from the wedding was this one, and I just love how the whole composition came together of him dancing in that, up. I'm up on the stage with the band like all the time, like almost constantly. And that's where I got that angle. But you see where the light's coming from? From the light stick, you know, boom, right? So yeah, cool, good. Getting crazy, so when like, you know, things start getting crazy, I mean, you should see me shoot a reception. It's like nuts, man. I'm like an idiot running around there. And so this one, you know, like the kids went down and did the worm. You know what the worm is? I'm not gonna do the worm. I had this fancy microphone. I don't want to ruin anything. But like, you know, I'm literally shooting things, and I'm like, you know, like when there's a circle of people dancing and something's happening in the circle, I literally just like bust my way through, and I'm in, right? I can't be like, excuse me, ma'am, would you mind if I just, is it okay? I'm sorry, I'm just, you know, you can't do that, right? You know? And it's like, oh yes, the moment just happened, you know? And so you know, it's another thing is it's like, it's really important to respect the integrity of the moment, which in essence I might not have been, right? But you also have to match the energy of the moment, right? So if people are going crazy and there's drunk people, whatever, I'm like, yeah, I'm in there. It's like, boom, you know, and I get in there and just get the picture, right? But like with this kid, he went down on the ground, and I'm kind of shooting him dancing. The kid goes down on the ground, and I'm like, and I get back up. You know, I mean, I literally like, I don't know how I do it. The day after a wedding, I physically like hardly can't move. Like I'm just like, that's why I need to strengthen myself, do some stuff, you know? But anyway, but you see how much different that picture looks when you're down on the ground than if you're standing up, and it just doesn't work. You gotta hustle. You gotta hustle, man. Get in there and hustle. Great shot. So I love when this stuff starts going, right? Just fun. And if people stop and they're like, hey, picture, I'll take it, whatever. It's like, no problem. But that's if it's just nothing happening, right? You have to be a jerk sometimes, right? To get what you want. You got to be stubborn. And so I was at a reception one time, and bride and groom were not around each other. How often does that happen? You guys don't have that happen at your weddings? My weddings, at receptions, the bride and groom hardly see each other. They're always talking to other people. They're never together, right? And so I was at the reception, and finally the bride and groom came together on the dance floor, and I'm like, oh, the light was good. The moments were good. It's coming together. I'm sitting on the ground. I do this a lot at receptions. I'm literally on the ground at receptions, and people are dancing around me, you know? And people probably think I'm like shooting up dresses or something, but I'm not. So I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting for this moment to come together, and all of a sudden, I feel a tap on my shoulder. And this guy goes, the father of the bride would like you to come over there now for a photo. I didn't even turn around. I go, in a minute. And he goes, and he got mad, and he stormed off, and I got my photo, right? But I was waiting so long for this picture in the middle of a dance floor, probably sitting in beer, right? And so I finally got the picture, and I went straight over there where they were and where he was. And and I said thank you to the guy, and I went to the dad. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I just had to get that photo. That was an amazing moment of you and your daughter. He's like, it's cool, no big deal, you know. But had I been, like, oh yes, sir, I have to go get this, then I would have missed that picture, you know. And so it's like, it's just all about how you handle yourself after the situation, you know. Anyway, all kinds of kind of fun moments. That girl wasn't allowed. She wasn't allowed. She wasn't allowed to come. She wasn't able to be there. So I love, this is like they all started to get out there and sing some song, and I'm always looking. This is hilarious. Look at that. It's so awesome. I love stuff like that. But you can tell I'm getting in there. You know what I mean? Look at that. I'm right there. This is when I use my 16-35. Is when I shoot with this camera with this lighting, so I can really get in there. Because I find that if I use a 35 at times, like it's too far away and people are dancing in between me and what I'm trying to shoot, and it's harder to get it. So I use a wider angle for stuff like this. Great moment.
So for the dancing, you usually use the 16-35?
Yeah. Well, for like this type of situation where I'm like just in there, just trying to like just
in the middle of the dance floor type of thing.
Yeah. Because it's crazy. Like there's so many people. Like I oftentimes can't work with a 35 in there, and I know tons of my friends do, and they're amazing at it, but I'm just not, because I mean, this is not good. I mean, look at his head's all oblong and everything, but whatever. I have to deal with that someday. I don't want to start yet, but funny stuff, right? And then I wander sometimes. I wander around and just get off the dance floor. That's really important, I think, is to get out the dance floor and get away from the action and see what else is happening. And so I find some photos. So I found this up against this white wall, and then they did this. I was trying to shoot him, right? And they did, oh, and I'm like, okay, fine. And the only reason I shot this is A, because it wasn't that big of a moment that they were ruining, and B, I'm like, hey, more people, you know? And so I just shot it real quick, right? And then I just stopped, and then once I gave them that, they forgot about me, and I just kept shooting, and because they had those 2014 glasses on, and I was just shooting them, and then I ended up getting this frame, which I love. And you know why I got it? I was really lucky because the lights from the band just happened to turn and light it up like that, you know? And it's pretty cool, right? I love that. So, and then I got up close with them, you know, whatever. So you got to get a feel for how this goes, right? And then midnight was approaching, and I was like, oh, here's a great way that you can shoot the food stations in an interesting way, right? Otherwise, it's silly to shoot sandwiches. Silly to shoot sandwiches like that. Okay, so New Year's Eve's coming up pretty soon. I have to anticipate how I'm going to make this moment, right? Have you guys ever shot a New Year's Eve wedding? I love New Year's Eve weddings. I don't like doing them, but I love shooting them. Does that make sense? Because I don't want to be gone on New Year's Eve with my family, because that's kind of fun with the kids getting older. But I vow that this is my last one, but we'll see if I stick to that. So I loved this whole situation because they're crazy, right? And they put on all this paraphernalia, and he had these glasses that said 2014, and they lit up, and they would flash a green light, and I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. So I'm up on the stage with them as they're standing up on the stage, because I want the people in the background, right? I don't want to just shoot them up on the stage with like a band in the background. And look what happened. How fantastic is that, right? And I bumped my aperture up just a little bit really quickly to get that, but I love that green light hitting her face, you know? Like, and then just people, right? Another one, look how great that is, that light hitting her face, but it was blinking, so I had to like wait for the light to hit her face. It wasn't like, you know, they weren't constantly on. And I was going nuts on this time. I was like just going crazy. Love this photo. Just like using the light on people's faces. And then those suck, but you know, yay. So that was where is it feels like I'm missing something out of here. Oh, here we go. So that was before New Year's. There wasn't quite New Year's yet, okay? They were getting ready. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be up on the stage with them. But then they got down off the stage, and thank God they did, because as soon as New Year's hit and the confetti flew, I was up on the stage. I had a perfect angle on it because they were right in front of me. Now, I could have said like, hey, at New Year's, will you guys stand right here and then just let your moment happen? But I can't do that, right? I had to just whatever is given to me. And so this was actually the best picture from New Year's. It's not even the kiss. It's just like he popped that confetti. It was really a fun photo. The guy in the background's like, yeah! And they loved this photo because the guy in the background actually was dateless at the wedding. So that's why he had nobody to kiss. So that's why he's just like behind them like, yay! You know, it's just kind of funny. It was a good story. Anyway, so that one, they go outside, you know. This is kind of cool. There's Brady. I just shot Brady's wedding, but he used to be Brandon's assistant for video, and I love this. He's got his Happy New Year thing on, and this guy's just like dancing with him. It's hilarious. Yeah.
On some of the dance ones you were showing just at the end, it looked like when the clock struck. Are you using that mod grid?
Mag mod? I didn't have it then.
You didn't? Oh, okay.
This is all ambient light right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no flash.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was great light from this angle hitting them, right? So it just got lucky. And I risked it. That was risky. But if I flash this, it wouldn't feel right. The only way you can flash this and make it feel right is if you backlit it, maybe. Mm-hmm. But then that's really risky, and you probably would have drowned out all the green on their faces. You know, you would have washed that out. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway. Love this one. That's all available light. I love the guy in the background. You know? So many couples always say to me, oh, you don't need to stay late. That's just when all the people will be drunk dancing. I'm like, that's exactly why I need to stay late. Have you heard that before from a wedding client? Oh, there won't be any pictures. Oh, yes, there will. Those are the best pictures. Anyway, kind of fun. Trying to use this Happy New Year, to kind of tell the story even more. And they're like, we're out, peace out. And then they left. And then they started dancing by that light. See, this is the light I was using right here, Teresa. See that? Mm-hmm. That light was shining on them. That was the light I was using for the other thing, right? And then this is them leaving. And they basically just dropped the mic and took off. And it was kind of fun. She's got her shoes, his bow tie. They got like 3 hats on. And then he stops and he kisses her. And then I love details like this that show like the craziness of it all, with all this like New Year's Eve stuff floating around. And then we walked back to the hotel. And so I told you I was going to talk about this on like day 3, and I'll talk about it more. But yeah, I don't think the day's over. I learned this from He was shooting a wedding. My son Alex was born 5 weeks early on a Friday before a wedding I had. And I was like, oh my God. Like the doctor, I was like, so doc, what do you think, when do you think this is going to happen? And he's like, well, I don't know, sir, because it's nature, basically. And I said, well, I got a wedding. So I kind of need to know. He's like, well, then you're going to have to find somebody else or something, and I'm like, okay. And I had no idea. And so I asked, it came up, and I asked if there's anybody available. And that's the awesome part about being a part of a community like that. And we wrote back, and he's like, I can come. And I'm like, all right. And it cost me a fortune. I didn't make any money on that wedding. But I flew him up. And I actually went to the wedding on Saturday, but I was there 5 hours late. I still had my NICU band on. And no, I got there late, but the groom actually remembered. He told me, he goes, yeah, I could tell in like the first 3 or 4 hours you weren't there. He says, and then all of a sudden I saw you switch and you were on. It's kind of funny. But we shot it with me. But he was staying at the same hotel as my couple. That's just where I put him up because the reception was there. And I'm going to the images later when I got back, whatever. And I'm like, I get his images, and I'm like, he's in the dang hotel room with my clients. Like, what? Like, they're just like, dude, And I learned it from them, from him. And he just, and it's some great pictures. And I do it all the time now, And and I've seen some stuff. Only once did it go somewhere that it probably shouldn't have gone, but that's okay. That's a story for a margarita later. But it's like, but there's great stuff that happens there, And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow a lot. But so we went back. Well, this is them walking back to their hotel room. I love this photo. They just stopped to kiss there, and some weird, creepy guy was over there. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, right? I didn't tell them to kiss. I didn't tell them to stop. Nothing. They just stopped, and I got lucky, right? Because I'm paying attention to what's going on. Get back to the hotel. They did that picture for me, because who kisses before they go into their own hotel? Nobody. They got there, and they were so drunk, they just kind of hung out and did some silly stuff. And then we get going into the room, and I love stuff like this. This is what I live for, quite frankly. And love this photo of him carrying her across the stoop, right? We get in there, and they jump on the bed, which nobody does. They did that for me, I'm sure. And then they're laying on the bed, and then this is one of my favorite images I shot all last year was right here. I love that picture. Nice. Totally sums up who she is. So, kind of fun, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. So that's kind of a general way of how I kind of approach a whole wedding day, and hopefully that was insightful, and kind of helps you understand kind of the approach and the way that I think about things as I go through a day. So, questions? You got a question? Yeah.
Yes.
Hit it.
What do you do when nothing's happening?
Start a fire.
Okay. I was at my last wedding, and I was telling myself, all right, I need to find the excitement. I need to, and I was doing well at that. And then I got where everybody was, and nothing was happening for like 10 minutes, and it was killing me to not be taking any photos.
You don't have to shoot all the time, man. Right? Common mistake of almost every photographer is they feel that if they're not working hard every minute of the day, then they're not. Then their clients are going to be upset. I bet you feel that, right?
I feel like I'm going to be upset.
Well, you may be, but
Yeah.
don't think about the clients. And just, if there's nothing happening, then there's nothing happening. Try to find something great. Try to do something different. Try to go outside and get a really cool outdoor picture of the lightning, or I don't know, whatever. Right? Just try and do something, or just take a break. That's what I do. I go to the bathroom, take a break. Say, okay. Come back out. All right. I mean, to me, I can't do anything about it. And I can't imagine even any photographer at a reception being like, okay, DJ, let's play different songs. We can get this thing going. It's like I can't imagine that ever happening. So you just have to deal with it. And that's and it's gonna happen, for sure. So, cool. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. So, like, for instance, at a reception, and maybe it's a small wedding, say 60 people or something, and there's nothing really happening on the dance floor, and people are just sort of standing around in odd places talking with each other for an extended period of time. What would you do then? Okay.
I mean, maybe I'll shoot some people talking to each other a little bit.
Okay.
I'll go get a drink, find a piece of cake.
What would you be looking for to be happening next? You'd be looking at the dance floor. You'd be
Dance
looking
floor.
for people
I would
that
go
are-
wander. I would honestly wander around and see if I can find people outside doing something or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I might get caught up on my details if I hadn't gotten those yet, or I'll just go sit down and take a break.
Okay.
Like, hey, nothing happening, people. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, clap my hands 3 times and, Beetlejuice, 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 or something like that, and hope people start dancing. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is, and
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it. So, cool. Yes.
I noticed there weren't a lot of like dinner photos.
No, I don't take.
You just. That's what you eat.
dinner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just don't think that really matters.
Yeah.
I try to look for people. I can't bring myself to shoot like cocktail hours very long either, because it's just a whole bunch of. I have to wait so long for somebody to actually like have a great smiley moment. Otherwise, they're just like, oh yeah. So how's Bill? Bill good? Yeah, Bill's okay. It's just like for me, it's just I have trouble with that. Some people are really good at that. I don't. So I just eat dinner. I don't think anybody really cares that much, unless they like do the chink there, the ding 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 ding. Do you guys have that? Where they make some kiss, and I'm like, oh, and then I'll get, that's kind of a moment. That's kind of fun, but yeah.
The question that I asked you earlier, I'd just like to bring it up now because I didn't actually get an answer from you. But
Because I didn't actually, I'm going to put you on the spot.
well, no, I think it's better to ask now so everybody can hear the answer. But it was, you have a really warm, funny personality. I feel like you probably get along with your clients very well. I feel like I have a pretty good rapport with my clients as well. And I carry that into wedding day. So when I'm in the bridal prep room, like I'm joking around with the bride and the bridesmaids and whatnot, and I feel like it's a lot of fun. And after watching your presentation up to this point, I feel like you probably have no interaction with them. And I'm curious how you refrain from wanting to participate, to crack jokes if you found a good time for that or whatever. How do you handle that?
I've found that I have to wear a muzzle.
Okay.
Okay. No, I mean that's a good question, and it's a huge issue for a lot of people. It's like you want to be helpful, all that kind of stuff. I do not talk to them when moments are happening. I don't say a word. Like I have to conduct myself in the proper way to get the shot, right? But I do talk to them throughout the day for sure. Like after the ceremony, once they've like died down in that back room, like hugging each other and everything, I'm like, man, guys, that was awesome. Congratulations, whatever. Just to kind of like break that awkwardness a little bit. But no, I don't crack the tension with a joke or something like that. It's not my place. It's not about me, And so I just sit back and just let it go and talk to them when I need to talk to them, but very rarely on the wedding day, quite honestly. It's not hardly anything at all. It all happens before. And I think that helps them forget about me. It helps them know that I'm just in the background doing what I need to do, to get what I need to get done, right? So you just have to deal with that in your own internal place. Yep.
Do you have your second go around and take portraits and so on, either for just capturing the people or for sales, if you do sales online?
No, I don't. Oftentimes, if I don't need her for help me at for the details of the reception or whatever with lighting, then I'll say go to the cocktail hour and just try to shoot people. But I'm not gonna. I don't want the guests to get the wrong idea. I don't want to send the wrong message that it's okay if we do that.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because what happens is that like if you start doing that a lot and people see you doing that, I've had experience where like they're all like, oh, can I get one too? Hey, yeah. Oh, can I get one? And then all of a sudden it just starts, spiraling out of control. And basically, I'm being my own moment killer at that point.
Okay.
Is the way I look at it, right? So I don't want to call that out. But if people go, hey, can I have a picture? Like during the reception or something, I'm like, yeah. And I'll just go, I go, okay, and I just walk off. Like I don't encourage it, but I'll do it, right? I don't look at people and be like, okay, yeah, okay, great, yeah, awesome. I don't do that, and a lot of people do because that's what you want. You want to make them feel good about what you just did, right? So like, yeah, great, awesome. I don't do that. I'm just like, yep, okay, then I move off. I don't want people to get that in their head that like I want them to do that, because if I want them to do that, then it's going to start taking away from all the other stuff.
Okay.
So.
Ready for one for the internet?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So one of the students wanted to know, do you ever follow the bride and groom back to their hotel room?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we just showed that on all that stuff, right? Yeah, we
Nice.
just went
Okay,
through
right,
that
all the
whole-
way back.
Yeah,
Great.
totally. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know if they didn't see that part.
They probably
or
didn't. They probably missed it.
Yeah,
And
no, it's totally fine. And I'm going to talk about that on tomorrow as well.
okay,
A little
and
more, so.
do you always wear black? They wanted to know a little bit
Yeah,
about your
I do.
your
I just wear
dress
all
code.
black.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just because I personally, like Ben and those guys, they all wear they want to blend in, so they wear a coat and a tie, which I think is awesome. But I don't work well with that. I have too much going on, and so I just elected just to wear just a black shirt and black pants.
Yeah.
And just make it simple.